is out. That's off. That's off. That's off. That's on. And it's live. Okay then, time to go to work. Hello! Shadowcat back with more of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Still working on learning this stuff, but we're making progress. Learning more about the whole feat system, all the different classes, different skills, everything. It's been kind of a rough ride, but last time we got to do spells, and like, I'm a wizard, so spells always make me happy. They always make me happy. And we got a good spell list. We'll go over what we did last time real quick. We also took a quick look at equipment, but equipment didn't really answer any questions for me, so I decided I was going to do something a little bit different and look at a different class instead. One that is more equipment dependent, so we're going to go over that too. So, before we do that, I suppose we'll start off with the normal plugs. If you're not subscribed, we'll go ahead and do that. Hit the bell icon that we get notified every time there's a video that comes out. If you know somebody else who's also into tabletop games, specifically Pathfinder, Starfinder 2nd Edition, then share this video with them. Otherwise, though, if you like what I'm doing, leave a like on the video. You can leave a comment down below, but if you're going to do that, might I suggest that you go ahead and join the Discord? We have one. We play games there, and I would like you to come play with us. We currently have a Star Trek game going, and I'm trying to get a Warhammer 40k Genestealer game going. And the Star Trek game I thought was going to be wrapping up, but apparently it's gone completely off the rails again, and I have no idea when it's going to end, so you have more than enough time to go ahead and join us on that one. So please do that. I'd love to see you there. Otherwise, we'll get into this. And I already see that Blizzard is in the chat. Hello, Blizz. Good to see you here. Since I sent out the wrong link this morning to everybody, I can only assume that half of the people are not going to show up. I did correct it. I did send out the right link again, but did the wrong one first. And you know what to say, you only get one first impression. Alright, so, getting into what we did last time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull in everything that I need. Actually, I need to switch this over first. That's fine, because I'm not using my Star Trek page today. I have a special page set aside for this. Go figure. Okay, so we'll bring in the page. We'll bring in our spreadsheet, and we'll get to work on what we did last time. So last time, like I said, we finished up spells. We finished up spell levels 3, 4, 5, and 6. And there's nothing much to really talk about there. You can see what we did for level 3. I took Fireball because every wizard should know Fireball. That's not true. I normally wouldn't take Fireball. But I didn't have a whole lot of other options at level 3 that I wanted. Phantom Prison because I like illusions, Wooden Double because I like just illusions, and Wooden Double is not an illusion, but it achieves the same thing. And PC's in. Hello, PC. Good to see you here too. At level 4, we took Fly because every wizard should know how to fly. I took Replicate because the only thing better than me is more of me. I took Telepathy because I wanted the god spells, and I wasn't allowed to have the god spells. And I realize that for some people that requires a little bit of explanation. The god spells. If you ask somebody to define God, God is defined by being omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Okay? God is everywhere, God knows all, God can do all. Ergo, the God spells. Telepathy. It doesn't let you know everything, but it lets you know pretty much everything around you. Teleportation. It's not omnipresence. You're not everywhere at once, but you can be anywhere you want. So that leaves us with telekinesis. It's not omnipotence, but it is mental control over your environment. So they're the God spells. Telepathy, telekinesis, and teleportation. And PC says also God needs a starship. Yes, God does need a starship, apparently. We don't know why, but God needs a starship. So anyway, I was denied teleport because per the rules, and I had to stick with the rules as much as possible, I could only pick common spells, and apparently teleport is not common. Mind you, a curse that makes you explode is common. But not teleport. No. Teleport is just one step too far, apparently. Literally. So, I took telepathy, I took Mirror's Misfortune because also illusions. I took hallucination and illusory scene because also illusions. Scouting Eye, I took because number one, it's useful, and number two, my character's missing an eye. Good to be able to conjure one. And then at level 6 is kind of weird for me because there wasn't really a whole lot in the way of really useful spells. So I took Phantasmal Calamity because it's an illusion spell and it's horrifyingly devastating. I also took Awaken Entropy because it is not an illusion spell, but it is horrifyingly devastating. And then I took Chromatic Image because it's an illusion, and Disintegrate because every wizard should know Disintegrate. Seriously. Every wizard should know Disintegrate. It's not just a combat spell. It's the make whatever is in front of you go away spell. Is there a locked door? Now there's no door. Is there a wall you need to get through? Now there's a 10-foot block missing from it. Is there evidence of the crime? Now there's not. Disintegrate. It's useful for everything. And so when we finished that up, I did take a brief look at equipment, but equipment was kind of, it's equipment. Nobody likes going through equipment. So I went through and I filled in all of the numbers. I went through and double-checked a lot of them too, just in case. And the numbers are looking pretty good. So 116 hit points for a level 12 character. That's not bad. That's a little on the low side, but wizard. Wizards are always on the low side. For the proficiencies, plus 17 to attack is kind of insane for a wizard. Plus 20 on a ranged attack is slightly less insane, given my dexterity. An unarmored armor class of 20 for a wizard. Before casting any spells, before wearing any magic items, that is just nuts. And PC says, Disintegrate works on everything except for Duck Dodgers. He has a disintegration-proof vest. Yes, it is true. He does have a disintegration-proof vest. In fact, it is the only thing left when he gets hit by disintegration rays. I've got good fortitude saves, good reflex saves, good will saves, which again is kind of insane. Every wizard should have a good will save, every catfolk should have a good reflex save. However, a wizard having a fortitude save of a plus 19 is... it's unthinkable, and yet here we are. But, I will say this, it's not exactly the most unthinkable thing, because as we'll get to later, not alone in this. And then class DC, spell attack DC, it's fine. I went through my skills. My skills actually look a little bit more reasonable. So, a plus 22 for Arcana, plus 20 for Crafting, plus 20 for Diplomacy. These all look good, and my my untrained skills look untrained, so it's fine. Except, I did miss something when I did this, and it is untrained improvisation. I took that. And untrained improvisation, which is where we're going to watch things kind of go off the rails here. Untrained improvisation. You've learned how to handle situations when you're out of your depth. Your proficiency bonus to untrained skill checks is equal to your level -2. This improves to your level -1 at the 5th level, we're level 12, and to your full level at the 7th. Well, we're level 12, which means that every single one of these white skills is going to get a plus 12. So, 4 plus 12 is 16. 1 plus 12 is 13. 2 plus 12 is 14. 2 plus 12 is 14. That's 14. That's 15. That's 16. And so is that. And now, my skills are just ridiculously off the chain. Now, this does not let me use trained skills, which is something that is kinda sorta new, kinda not new. In Pathfinder 1, they did this kind of globally. You were either trained in a skill or you weren't trained in a skill. There wasn't an untrained action under any skill. So if we were to leave here and go to skills and just pick one, like survival. Take survival. Right here we have survival. There is the subsist activity, which is untrained, which is good. I would hope it's untrained. If it was trained, it's like, congratulations, you are too dumb to eat. Also untrained action, sense direction. And then we get into the trained actions, which would be cover tracks and track, which makes sense. And JP is here. Hello, JP. Good to see you in here this morning. So, yeah, by having untrained improvisation, it does increase my my survival skill, but it does not let me do the trained activities. So, I can't track, I can't cover tracks, but if I had to roll to sense direction or roll to subsist, I can do that much, much better. And so, untrained improvisation, low-key overpowered. I'm not going to complain too much about that. Although, from a GM standpoint, if everybody were to take that, then it quite frankly makes making a difficult encounter nearly impossible. And JP says, currently watching a border collie, and wow, do they require a lot of activity. Yeah, they do. They are a working dog. And by the by, one thing in common with pretty much all working dogs is if you do not task them, they will invent a task for themselves and you will not like it. Guaranteed, you will not like it. Okay, so, anyway, getting back to this. Everything for the wizard looks good. The other thing that I didn't like before is the fact that the wizard was kinda overpowered. Now, wizards have always been overpowered when it comes to magic. And JP says, so I'll be listening in the background while we do a 2-mile. What you need to do is you need to get a bike rig, like I had for my sister's dog, where you literally tie your dog to the front of the bike and you can just go running. Or you can take them for a run while you ride. I clocked her Weimaraner at 20 miles an hour. It was nuts. I didn't know a Weimaraner could run that fast, but they can. And I don't think that she was giving it her all. So, yeah, good luck with that. Anyway, wizards, spells. Every wizard should have big spells because, like, a fireball is going to be 6d6 damage, I think it is. It should be that still, to everything in the room. Again, I didn't ask how big the room is. I said I cast fireball. But the thing is that fireball is a prepared spell. So you prepare 1 to maybe 3 fireballs in a day, and that's all you're getting. And quite frankly, anything more than 1 fireball is probably overkill. But the point remains, you prepare a fireball and once you use it, it's gone. Cantrips, however, do not have that problem. You prepare the cantrip and you can use it all day long, which is why we have Ignition. Now, Ignition is going to be kind of the wizard's basic ability. Because in combat, the wizard will be able to use Ignition every single turn. And so we need to start looking at this so we can define how it's going to work, and this is going to be kind of our baseline. Ignition says you snap your fingers and point at a target which begins to smolder. Make an attack roll against their AC, dealing 2d4 fire damage on a hit. If they're within your melee reach, you can choose to make a melee spell attack with the flame instead of a ranged attack, which increases the damage dice to d6s. On a critical success, they take double the damage and 1d4 persistent fire damage. In other words, they're on fire. And if you succeed, they just take full damage, and if you fail, you miss. Duh. And it also is heightened, because, you know, the initial damage increases by 1d4, and the persistent damage on a critical hit increases by 1d4. It's a cantrip, so it is automatically heightened. And it is heightened to roughly half of your level. Level 12 character means that we're going to be heightening it to 6 additional dice, I believe. I think? No. Yes? Wait. Spell level, it's going to be, when you cast at level 6, so... Thinking. No, it wouldn't be literally half the level. Would it? Yes, it would, actually. It'd be cast as a level 6 spell. So, yeah, 1d4 plus 6, so it gets another d4 at level 1, another d4 at level 2. Yeah, that's 6d4 plus the original 2d4, so this is doing 8d4 damage. So let me just go ahead and I'm going to write that down right here. So Ignition is going to be 8d4 damage. That is the number that I need to keep in mind when we move into the next section, because that is what a wizard, or my wizard specifically, can do every single turn. Okay? That is the number that we have to keep in mind, because if nobody else can keep up, then the wizard has a problem. So, let's look at what I built the other day. Okay? This is the wizard. And now introducing a fighter. And I think what I'll do here is I'm going to move that there, and I'm just going to pull this up. Right there. So we can get a better look at this. And we'll go through the thing that I made. So, in order to understand a fighter, I decided to just go ahead and make a fighter. And I gotta admit, it felt weird. It felt wrong. I'm not a fighter. And this just felt all kinds of bad. But I'm not upset with what I made. So let's take a look at it. Everything is more or less the same. Same level, same race, same everything. The only thing that changed is the class. I went with a martial disciple background because it seemed fightery. Obviously, I'm a fighter. My stats did change. I've got a +3 for strength, a +4 for dexterity, +4 for constitution. Nothing in intelligence with me, I dumb. And I got +3 in wisdom and +3 in charisma. And PC says you're a lover, not a fighter. Fighter? No. Lover? I just said I took fireball. What do you think? Now, getting into some of the other things. After filling in all of the numbers and everything, 176 hit points compared to 116 as a wizard. Yeah, that feels right. That feels right. Looking at my attacks down here, weapon proficiencies. The fighter has basically a +19 for everything except for advanced weapons, and even further bonuses, but we'll get into that later. So +19s for the melee attacks, compared to the wizard having +17s. That's the part that feels kinda weird. Because, again, a wizard should not have this high of a melee attack. At least an attack bonus. And this is what really bothers me, because we're going to get into equipment later, and giving the same sword to a wizard that a fighter would be carrying, the difference is small. It's not non-existent. There is a difference, but it's small. And I don't like it. Range attacks are literally the same between both of the characters. The warrior is trained in every armor, so they got a 20 in AC before they put anything on. Saves pretty much the same, and this is what is also kind of weird, because as the fighter, great fortitude save. And not only that, but because they have battle hardened, which we'll get into later, they turn all of their successes into critical successes, which means that they shrug off basically everything. But they're a fighter, I expect that. Reflex, also catfolk fighter. I would expect that. +19 to will save. I mean, why? This isn't the same vein of the wizard my wizard having a plus whatever it was fortitude save. Every class was supposed to have like one or two good saves and one bad save, because everyone should have a weakness. Pathfinder 2 characters do not have weaknesses. They just don't. And PC says, I cast the flames of passion. That was just fireball. Yes, but I cast it from the heart. Insert Spanish guitar noises. I like it. It's like if Zorro had a magic wand instead of a rapier. Anyway, though, coming back up here to skills. The skills look basically the same between the fighter and the wizard. And that's because I took untrained improvisation, so big bonus to everything that they're not trained in. But if you look at the skills between them, I mean, the numbers shift around a little bit, but they do not look terribly different. So let's look at what makes the fighter a fighter. And that's going to be over here in all the feats. So, for starters, nothing over here in the ancestry has really changed. Because the fighter is a martial disciple, we get catfall, which means that the fighter gets to, well, the martial disciple gets to treat every fall as if it were 10 feet less. However, this is all based on acrobatics. And if they're trained in acrobatics, it's 10 feet. If they're an expert in acrobatics, it's 25. If they are a master in acrobatics, it's 50 feet less. And if they are legendary in acrobatics, they simply don't take fall damage. Period. Land on your feet means that you always take half damage from falls, and you're never prone. Combine that with cat fall, and I mean, you basically can fall however far you want, which is very, very cat. And then cat's luck, because re-rolling reflex saves is a good thing. Level 1. Something that I do not agree with. So, in Pathfinder 1, there is 3 words that every player fears. And it is attack of opportunity. Because in Pathfinder 1, you had to be very careful about how you moved. Otherwise, you could trigger an attack of opportunity. And sometimes you would brave that attack of opportunity to get somewhere or do something, and sometimes it would actually stay you. Attack of opportunity is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. Instead, they have gated it behind a class feature now. I do not know how many classes actually get reactive strike. So far, I've only built a wizard and a fighter. But I do know that the fighter has reactive strike and the wizard does not. This is weird. And my understanding, at least according to what ChatGPT has told me, for why they did this is because they wanted the battlefield to be less restrictive. They wanted people to be able to move. They did not want people to get locked down. I do not agree with this decision. Now, fortunately, this is one of those things where you can always house rule it and just use the Pathfinder 1 rules for attack of opportunity. But since I'm not doing that, I'm not doing house rules right now. I'm just looking at what does the fighter get, and they get the attack of opportunity. Okay. They also get a fighter feat. I took reactive shield because why not? It allows you to raise your shield as a reaction. If I've got reactive strike, reactive shield just seemed like a good choice. And then shield block, which lets you block with a shield. Kind of self-explanatory. Level 2, I took battle medicine because I really did not know what else to take. However, it allows you to use treat wounds as a single action. Anyone that you treat with battle medicine cannot be treated with battle medicine for a full day. However, my understanding is that you can still use treat wounds on them outside of combat as normal. And then I took Blade Break, which is also a reaction. If somebody tries to shove you, you can shove your weapon into the ground or a wall and stop yourself from moving. Honestly, I don't think it's going to get a whole lot of use, but it seems so cool, I had to take it. Level 3, Untrained Improvisation. You can see how that pays dividends over here. And Bravery. And Bravery, I'd have to actually look up again. What did Bravery do? Bravery, it was... having faced countless foes in chaos and battle, you've learned how to face fear. Your proficiency rank for will increases to expert, right? When you roll success as a will against a fear effect, you get a critical success instead. And anytime you gain the frightened condition, reduce its value by 1. So, you're not afraid anymore. There you go. Level 4, I took Forager because I like to eat. At level 4, I also took Swipe. Swipe simply allows you to make a single attack roll against 2 adjacent opponents near you. That's going to become important later because I'm going to give it a very interesting interpretation of the rules. But just keep in mind that right now, so long as 2 people are standing next to each other, you can smack both of them at once. Level 5, I took Lucky Break, building on Cat's Luck. Cat's Luck lets you re-roll a reflex saving throw if you fail it. Lucky Break lets you re-roll any saving throw once per day, as well as any failed acrobatics or athletics check. It's nice. And then Fighter Weapon Mastery. You pick one weapon group, which that was interesting because I didn't even know they came in groups. But choose a weapon group. Your proficiency increases to Master in the simple weapons, martial weapons, and unarmed attacks in that group, and to Expert with advanced weapons in that group. You gain the critical specialization effects of all weapons and unarmed attacks for which you have Master proficiency. I was going to take rapiers, but instead I took flails, and I will show you why I took flails later. It'll be important then. Level 6, I took Quick Jump because I really did not know what else to do, and when you choose Martial Disciple, you are forced to make a choice between Athletics or Acrobatics. If you choose Athletics, you get a +1 to Strength, and you get Quick Jump. If you choose Acrobatics, you get a +1 to Dexterity, and you get Cat Fall. So, this is really just me going back and saying, yeah, I want both. And then I took Advanced Weapon Training, Flails. And Advanced Weapon Training means that... Hold on, I gotta look this one up again. Advanced Weapon Training, there it is. Choose a weapon group. I took flails again. You gain proficiency with all advanced weapons in that group as if they were martial weapons of their group. So, flails is going to give us advance to all advanced flails, which we may need, and then the Fighter Weapon Mastery is going to increase our proficiency with all of those flails. Level 7, Environmental Guide. If I spend an hour in an environment, I can give everybody around me an environmental protection. Why not? Battlefield Surveyor is going to increase perception to Master, gives us a +2 circumstance bonus to perception checks for initiative, which is also something that I just learned. There is no initiative necessarily in Pathfinder 2. Instead, they've abstracted it. If the DM calls for initiative now, they have to tell you what to roll. By default, perception is your initiative roll, which feels kind of weird, but it is what it is. However, if you're trying to, say, make a sneak attack, the GM may have you make a stealth check as your initiative, or something else. If it's like a magical creature that's coming at you, they might have you make arcana checks for your initiative. Initiative is more variable now. And I can understand it, but it does feel weird. So anyway, Battlefield Surveyor, you gain a +2 circumstance to perception checks for initiative, making you react faster in combat. That's great. You also get weapon specialization. So, you deal an additional 2 damage with weapons and unarmed attacks in which you are an expert. The damage increases to 3 if you're a master and 4 if you're legendary. Remember what we just got with the Fighter Weapon Mastery. I took flails, and if my proficiency increases to Master with simple weapons, martial weapons, and unarmed attacks in that group, which means that now, with a flail, I deal another 3 points of damage, which is great. I'll take it. Level 8, Predict the Weather, because it's good to know if it's going to rain. I took Sudden Leap, because I've already got the ability to Quick Jump, and we can fall from basically any height already, So sudden leap sounds great. Not just that, this is a fighter feat. Not only can I make a leap, but at any point during my leap, I can also make an attack. If I make an attack, I stop on that square. But the point is, I'm going to be jumping around a lot. And we're going to do more for that, I believe, in the future. Sense for Trouble goes back to Cat's Luck. This is an ancestry feat. And Cat's Luck lets you reroll reflex saves. Lucky Break lets you reroll all saves plus athletics and acrobatics. Sense for Trouble lets you reroll initiative. Again, it's once per day, but still, you can reroll your initiative. At this point, I can basically reroll everything. And Battle Hardened. Battle Hardened, your proficiency rank in Fortitude increases to Master, which we showed. When you roll a success on a Fortitude save, you get a critical success instead. As I said, Fighter basically shrugs off everything. And then Combat Flexibility. When you make your daily preparations, you gain 1 fighter feat of the 8th level or lower that you meet the prerequisites for and don't already have. You can use that feat until your next daily preparations. It is an extra fighter feat, and it's flexible. I do like that. Level 10, I took Advanced First Aid, because why not? Cut from the air is a reaction. If somebody shoots you with an arrow or a bolt or something, it allows you to make an attack roll against their attack roll. Or no, against their DC, excuse me. And it just completely negates their attack, which is really cool. At level 11, I took Assurance for medicine, because I already have an expert or master in medicine. If I'm going to have to use medicine, I want to just succeed with it. And then as a fighter, Armor Expertise. Your proficiency ranks for light, medium, and heavy armor, as well as unarmed defense increase to expert, and you gain the armor specialization effects of medium and heavy armor. We also get Fighter Expertise. Practice techniques have made you more formidable. Your proficiency rank for fighter DC increases to expert. And level 12, I didn't fill in. Why didn't I fill that in? Hold on. I know I did it. What did I do for that? Let me go back up here. Right. It was Powerful Leap and Dashing Strike. Let me just fill that in. Powerful Leap and Dashing Strike. Okay. So Powerful Leap is just going to be a bonus to all of my jumps. With Powerful Leap, I don't actually have to make a running start. Yeah, it says you can jump 5 feet up with a vertical leap without making a high jump. You can also increase the horizontal distance when you leap as part of a high jump or long jump by 5 feet. This, of course, goes back to the whole sudden leap ability. I can now jump further, and I can still attack in the middle of it. And Dashing Strike is complicated. Dashing Strike, it literally says stride up to your speed. Now, stride is basically their version of just normal movement, okay? If you move 25 feet, move 25 feet. But it says that you spring away from a foe and strike at another. Stride up to your speed, but you must end that movement within melee reach of a different enemy. At the end of your movement, make a melee strike against an enemy now within reach. You can use Dashing Strike while burrowing, climbing, flying, or swimming instead of striding if you have the corresponding movement type. Not terribly useful, because I can already kind of do that, but you know what? Taking it anyway. You never know. So, that's going to be all the fighter stuff. And so what do we have? We have an incredibly agile fighter, which I would expect a fighter to be. With the land on your feet, cats fall. You can basically fall from any height. There are multiple feats and features that allow you to jump good and even attack while jumping. So we have the whole predatory thing going on. Cat's luck, lucky break, and sense for trouble mean you can basically reroll everything. The fighter mastery and advanced weapon training for flails is going to come in really handy in a moment here. Swipe means that you can attack multiple people at once, which is going to be good because wizards have AoEs. You may want to become an AoE at some point. So there's a lot of good stuff there. Now, when I told you to look at the flails thing, that is because... Where was it? As a catfolk, I'm going to go ahead and move this down now. Catfolks do have some racial weapons. And I do like to use racial weapons when I get the opportunity. Right there. I mean, when else are you going to get a... when else are you going to go ahead and get an excuse to use them? And let's see. Oh, I missed some stuff in the chat. JP says, okay, I finally stopped so I could gripe. No initiative rolls. WTF. Okay, so there are no initiative rolls as such. There's no initiative category. Instead, they're basically telling you to choose what you want to roll initiative with. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just a bit weird. I can understand why they did it. The idea behind initiative used to be it was your dexterity bonus plus whatever modifiers that you had. And it came down to the fact that you assumed that everybody noticed what was going on at the same time and it was who could react the fastest. Hence why it was tied to dexterity. By tying it to perception, you're now tying initiative to whoever noticed the fastest. And there's another thing here. If you hadn't noticed, and you would be forgiven for not noticing, in 2nd edition, everybody gets perception now. Perception is no longer a class skill. Now, I put it over here with my skills because that's just how I'm used to doing things. It has a wisdom modifier, and so I put it with the skills. But it's not a skill anymore. Everybody gets perception, which kind of makes sense a little bit. There were not that many classes who did not get perception. If I come over here and look at skills... perception. Here we go. Perception. This one didn't. That is the Cavalier did not get perception. Now that's kind of weird. Why didn't the Cavalier get perception? Do you know what a Cavalier does? Cavaliers are the bannermen of a military. Literally, the Cavalier is a horse-mounted champion. They're supposed to be in the battlefield, and they're supposed to do two things. Number one, they inspire everybody around them. And so that's what they do. The other thing they do is that they isolate individual targets and take them down. Because the thing that the Cavaliers get is called a challenge. And when they challenge somebody, they get bonuses versus that person, penalties against everyone else, and they force the other person to take penalties from anyone else attacking them. Okay. The next column is Cleric. Clerics don't get perception. I only assume because they're busy doing like other things. They're busy communing with God. This column is Fighter. Fighters do not have perception as a class skill. I'm beginning to kind of understand why they did this the way they did. And JP says, noticing is not the same as quickness to act. I do agree with you, but they've still integrated that in. I mean, if you notice something, you can naturally be one of the first to react, and that means that if somebody was quicker than you, well, then technically you would break even? I mean, you notice first, they react faster. Sure. And JP says, Cavaliers draw aggro. Sure. So anyway, they've made perception just a class skill for everybody. And it's the same way that, and I was thinking about this earlier, when I make characters with people, one of the things that I make sure to do is everybody takes a profession and everybody takes a craft. Why? Because profession is how you feed yourself, and then craft is basically your hobby. It's what you do when you're not working. Well, there's no profession anymore, in case you hadn't noticed. Why? Because somebody at Paizo thought the same thing I did. And now profession has basically become your background. Not only does it explain what you did to make a living, but you get bonuses for it. It's one of those changes that I actually really do appreciate. So, anyway, we got that. Now, where was I? Right. I was going to be showing off an equipment. Let's see. JP says, so an empath will usually win this non-initiative situation? Possibly, yeah. The thing is that if you have a character who has extrasensory perception of some sort, whether that be echolocation, blind sense, tremor sense, telepathic sense, whatever it happens to be, if the GM calls for a perception check and you have that extra sense, yeah, you can absolutely make that argument that you should get a bonus in this circumstance. Like, if it's a nighttime encounter, everyone else's perception may be limited by the fact that it's night. But a telepath, or an empath, isn't going to be bothered by darkness. It's going to make perception a lot more open. And it's going to put more work on the GM, but the GM is there to work, so I don't have a ton of sympathy there. Anyway, getting back to the fighter. Like I said, we took weapon specialization and advanced training in flails, and I did so because of the racial weapons that catfolk get. They have a few of them. We looked at them briefly when I was looking at the wizard, but one of the things that they have is the whip claw. Now, the whip claw is an uncommon catfolk finesse weapon with reach. It's also hampering. It is a melee weapon, it is in the advanced category, and it is technically a flail. Now, because of this, we already can look back at the fighter's weapon mastery. You increase to expert with all of the advanced weapons in that group. So, looking back at our fighter here, remember that our advanced right here is only trained. Because we took flails, now if we take an advanced flail, we are expertly trained in it. Which is great. It also means that we come back here and go to advanced weapon training. We took flails. We studied the art of wielding an advanced weapon, choose a weapon group, gain proficiency in all advanced weapons in that group as if they were martial weapons of their group, which means because we took flails, we're already automatically trained or yeah, it says you gain proficiency with all advanced weapons in that group. So honestly, this is maybe a bit of a mistake. This may be a bit of an overstep. I didn't need to do this. Point is, though, we can use it. And because we have the fighter mastery with it, we can use it well. And when we come down here to battlefield or weapon specialization, we deal an additional 2 damage to weapons in which we are an expert. We are now an expert with flails. And so we get to treat this as, or we get an extra 2 damage with that. Right. Just kick it down. Choose one weapon group. Your proficiency rank increases to this. Yeah, so nothing changes. We're just going to get an additional 2 damage with the whip. However, it's a really cool whip, and it's going to work well with things like sudden leap, because now suddenly when we leap, we can strike at anybody who is 10 feet away. The thing that we need to look at, though, and the crux of what we're doing today is, remember when we looked at the wizard, and we said that the wizard has ignition, and it can do 8d4 damage every single turn. That number right there is what we need to match. 8d4 damage is a maximum of 32 and an average of, let's see, 32 minus 4 is 28 divided by 2 plus 1 is going to be an average of 15 damage, I believe. Okay? These are the numbers that we need to be hitting. Oh, and Blizz has to leave before we go into math. You're not getting out of it that easily. I'll expect your homework on the next stream. So you have a good day too. Don't forget your homework, and we'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Alright, so those numbers we got to hit. And as it stands right now, I can delete this. I don't need this. We have a whip that does 1d6 damage. Okay, that is a... Well, technically, it's 1d6 plus we have a strength of 3 and weapon specialization 2. So right now, as it stands, that is a maximum of 11 and an average of before plus 5 is going to be average of 9. So right now, that's what the whip looks like. But we haven't added anything to it. Again, a fighter's strength lies in their equipment. And so that's what we're going to look at right now. So when we look at equipment, we are going to come down here to first and foremost runes. Now, runes, I've spent a little bit of time looking at right now, and runes are their answer to the magic, the magic weapon system in Pathfinder 1. Now, I can go ahead and show a little bit of that. Very little, but just a little bit. No, not that. Magic items. Here we go. This was a very, if you'll pardon the pun, arcane system. It was not terribly easy to use, but it was very thorough. And because it was very thorough, it was very good. I really appreciated it. When you wanted to make a magic weapon, though, there were a few things that had to be done. So, let's see, I wonder where I would find those rules. Using items, no. I want to talk about crafting items. Oh, and also item slots. So, this is not something terribly pertinent right now. In Pathfinder 1, you had certain slots. Head, headband, eyes, shoulders, neck, chest, body, armor, belt, wrists, hands, ring 1 and ring 2. You can have 2 rings. And then feet. Pathfinder 2 does not do that. Instead, Pathfinder uses a system called investment. You can have a certain number of invested items. Usually it's 10. I made another character who actually went above that, but the point is that you can have up to 10 invested items, and they basically function as your magical items. The problem that I have with the investment system is that there's nothing in the rules that I have found yet that says that you cannot be invested in 10 pairs of boots. Now, common sense, logic, says that you cannot wear 10 pairs of boots. However, I do feel like Pathfinder 2nd Edition is lacking in common sense. I could be wrong. And by the way, I'm not allowing that at my table. I don't care how many pairs of boots you have, you can only wear 1 pair of boots at a time. But you can invest in them. And maybe that is the key. It's like you can invest in all of them. Congratulations, they're all invested. But you can only wear 1 pair of boots at a time, so I guess you can have a pair of boots for every occasion. It's up to you. And then, let's see, as far as, I don't know, damaging, saving throws against, purchasing, I want to look at crafting. I wanted to look at crafting, and I'm not seeing it here. Okay, that's fine. I don't need to look at the crafting because I know this stuff. In order to make any magic weapon at all, there are a few things that you have to do first. And PC says, I'm making a martial artist, will invest in boots. Whenever somebody attacks, boot to the head. That is stupid, and I'm going to allow it. Okay? Okay, I'm going to allow that. Anyway, in order to enchant anything, first you must make your weapon masterwork. Now, masterwork weapons are not uncommon. Okay? They're actually pretty easy to find, and it's almost guaranteed that any weapon you pick up as an adventurer, you will at least make it masterwork, or you will have it masterworked at some point. Masterworking a weapon is nothing special. If we come down here to equipment, and just get into, well, is it on this page? Starting to play with magic weapons? No. Mighty, wealthy characters? No. Okay, I'm just going to go down here to masterwork weapons. A masterwork weapon is finally crafted version, blah, blah, blah. Wielding it provides a +1 enhancement bonus to attack rolls. Okay? That's it. That's all it does. Masterworking costs 300 gold pieces. If it's a double weapon, it costs double the normal amount, so 600 gold pieces. It's expensive, but it does give you a +1 enhancement bonus on your attack rolls. And JP says, it's a boot feat. Look at what you have done now, PC. JP continues, says, it's a brilliant plan, really. It's soulful. Look at what you have done. What you have wrought upon this chat. I'm going to have to put him in timeout now just to get him to stop. Alright, so, Masterwork is going to give you a +1 enhancement on attack rolls. Now, let's go back to runes. Because runes have different categories here. We have property runes, we have fundamental runes, we have accessory runes, and there's still more that go on. And the first thing that we do is I'm going to look at the fundamental runes. Let's go ahead and sort this. Armor property runes, clan dagger, fundamentals. Here we go. So armor potency runes, resilient runes, mythic runes, striking runes, but the one here that I'm very interested in is the weapon potency rune. And what does weapon potency do? Because you can get it at level 2. Weapon potency says it's a magical enhancement that makes this weapon strike true. Attack rolls with this weapon gain a +1 item bonus, and the weapon can be etched with 1 property rune. Attack rolls gain a +1 item bonus. That is masterwork. They have simply changed out the masterwork feature to a rune. And it used to cost 300 gold pieces. Now it costs 35, which makes it much, much more accessible. The other ones are still going to get more expensive because a Potency 2 is going to be 935 gold pieces. Potency 3 is almost 9,000. And it determines the number of property runes you can put. So a Potency 1 is a +1 bonus, and you can put 1 property rune on it. A Weapon Potency 2 is going to be a +2, and Weapon Potency 3 is the same. Now, this is also true back in the magical crafting, because you could enchant your weapon with +1. So it's very classic. We've all heard of in tabletop gaming, you pick up a sword +1. Well, what does +1 do? The +1 is an attack and damage bonus, if I recall correctly, right? I think. Where was it? Yeah. So magic weapon, it may be enhanced with a bonus of 1 to 5. Apply these bonuses to both the attack and damage rolls when used in combat. All magic weapons are also masterwork weapons, but their masterwork bonuses on attack rolls do not stack with their enhancement bonuses. So it replaces the +1 from masterwork, but you still get a +1. Now, what does this do for us? Well, a +1 bonus on a weapon is just +1 to attack and +1 to damage. But that's when we get into other abilities, because we've all heard of special abilities before. Melee weapon special abilities. We've all heard of, like, the Flaming Longsword. Well, here it is. Here's Flaming. It is the equivalent of a +1 bonus. So what you would do is you would make a sword, and you would make it a +1 sword. Then, if you wanted to give it a special property, you would simply take the +1 off and put Flaming in its place. And now, suddenly, you have a longsword that does 1d8 slashing damage and 1d6 points of fire damage. If you wanted it to still be a +1 sword, you would give it a +2 bonus, and then you would give it Flaming, which takes up a +1. Now it is a Flaming Longsword +1. They have done the same thing with the runes, except they've simplified it a great deal. Now, all you need is the fundamental rune, and you can get a property rune, which means if we were making the same sword, we would get a weapon potency rune, and then we need a property rune. And, oh, here's the property runes right here. Didn't have to go that far. Bloodbane, Conducting, Bane, Energizing, Thirsty, Anchoring, Hauling. I'm sure there's got to be some kind of fire rune in here somewhere. Is it Ashen? No, it's not this one. Corrosive, extending. Here we go, flaming. Found it. A weapon with this rune is empowered by Flickering Flame. It deals an additional 1d6 fire damage on a successful strike, plus 1d10 persistent fire damage on a critical hit. And there we go. We've made the same weapon that we could have in Pathfinder 1. We made it in Pathfinder 2. Same numbers, except for the cost. This is going to be much cheaper. In Pathfinder 1, every +1 bonus, I believe, is 1,000 gold. The fundamental rune is 35 here, and the flaming, looking at it, it is 500 gold. So it's cheaper, but it can be done. Now, what does this mean for us? It means that we now get to look at our whip, and we need to make this whip match what the wizard can do or exceed it. So, the first thing to do is we're going to need to find a fundamental rune to put on it. Keeping in mind that our fighter that we're making is level 12, we cannot exceed anything by that. So, the first thing that strikes out at me is this striking rune. This is a fundamental rune, and it is level 12. So what's this going to give us? A striking rune stores destructive magic in the weapon, increasing the damage dice. For instance, a +1 striking dagger would deal 2d4 damage instead of 1d4 damage. You can upgrade the striking rune already etched in a weapon to a stronger version, increasing its values. Okay, so the striking rune would give us, if we took the greater one, which is item level 12, we could increase the damage on the whip from 1d6, because this is a greater rune, to 3d6. So let's look at that. So, greater striking. And JP says, Wizard Rune of Whipping, a parental necessity. You'll get no argument from me. Alright, so the other things or the other numbers are not going to change. We're just going to go 3d6 plus 3 strength plus 2 from weapon specialization. Now, the 3d6 is a maximum of 18 plus 5, which is going to push it up to 23. The average here is going to be, let's see, 18 minus 3 is 15, divided by 2, rounding up. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, rounding up is going to be 8. 8 plus 5 is 11. No, 8 plus 5 is 13. What are you talking about? Alright, so, if we make a greater striking whip, this is what we're looking at. If we compare that to, let me change the font on this. There, now I can read it. Alright, so, whip. Normal. So there's the normal, and there's greater striking. So already we're still falling short. However, while I was discussing this with the ChatGPT, it did point out something that I did not realize. And this almost makes up for the difference, but not quite. So when we look at ignition, I'm going to come over here to spells, arcane spells. and ignition. So the ignition cantrip actually does have one drawback. Keeping in mind that Pathfinder 2e does use a 3-action economy. Every character gets 3 actions, and you are allowed to use them however you want. Ignition costs 2 actions, which means that you can only cast it once per turn. Which means that we are going to be doing 8d4 once per turn, which is fine. That's good. I'm good with that. Technically speaking, this is only 1 action. Which means that if we were to do this twice, okay, I'm just saying if we did this twice, this could go up to a potential of 46 damage and 26 damage. Now keep in mind, every subsequent attack that you make carries with it a -4 attack penalty. So this is a martial weapon for us. And I'm on the wrong page here. Which means that our first attack is going to be made at a +20 because it's a finesse weapon. The second attack will be made at a +16. Now, does that mean that we're missing? No, not necessarily. We could absolutely hit that. But I do think that in this way, yes, this whip actually could make a fighter comparable to a wizard. This is 2 action points, and this is 1 action point times 2. With, of course, the excuse being that you have to get a lot closer to do so. The wizard can do this at a range of 30 feet. I believe it is. Is it 30 feet? I don't know, I gotta look. Yeah, 30 feet. And the whip only has a range of 10 feet, which is still, further than most warriors are going to have. Now, what about armor? Okay, what about armor? So we already know that the wizard, they're not wearing armor. Okay, and not wearing armor has an armor class of 20 before any spells, and before any magical items or anything like that. The fighter has the same thing. However, armor bonuses are not gonna be the best. At least from what I've seen so far. So let's take a look. Keeping in mind that we have a +4 dexterity bonus, and we really don't want to lose our +4 dexterity bonus. So I'll use this page, and we're going to go look at armor and see what we can do. Now, we are trained in all armor. So we're going to go ahead and sort by the dex cap here. And we're going to go straight to the 4s. And that's it. That's all we got. Okay. So for +4 armor, we only have 4 options. Leaf weave, leather lamellar, plain leather, or rattan armor. This is from the Treasure Vault Remastered, so is this one. This is from War of the Immortals. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to take plain leather armor. Now, is this worth our time? What is this -1? The -1 is a check penalty, so we'd be taking that to all of our acrobatics and athletics checks. -1 isn't the worst. The question is it worth it? Leather armor is going to be, or give us a +1. A whole +1 bonus. Okay. I gotta be honest, that's not great. We're losing 1 point of our acrobatics and athletics for +1 AC. I mean, I'm going to make a note here. I'm just going to say leather armor. +1 AC. And -1... No, I don't want to do that. What is accurate? And -1 check. Alright, so right out the gate, I'm looking at armor and I'm saying that... what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And that's kind of the thing that I have when I look at the rest of this armor. If we look up at some of these others, the +3 armors, some of these are 2 AC, but here's what I see when I look at it. +4 dexterity and +1 armor is 5. +3 dexterity and +2 armor is 5. +2 dexterity and +3 armor is 5. +4 armor, or +1 dexterity and +4 armor is 5. The only time that this actually changes is this half plate. This half plate right here, it allows you 1 dexterity bonus, but gives you 5 AC. So you could technically get a +6 bonus. If we come up here to the really heavy stuff, full plate offers you no dexterity bonus, but a +6 armor bonus. Again, to +6. So the armor seems to be mostly just flavor. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't feel good about that. And I mean, am I being unreasonable? Because I know that the numbers are a lot higher in Starfinder, and I've been playing Starfinder for a long time. So let's just go back and review here. Armor. Looking at some of these, if we look at the light armor, look at our dex bonuses. +6, +8, +5. Where's the leather armor? Here's the leather armor. Leather armor in Pathfinder 1 gave you a +2 armor bonus and still allowed a +6 dex bonus. Put those together, that's a +8. That's huge. And no check penalty. What about the heaviest, the lamellar armor? This one allows a +3 dexterity and gives you a +4 armor bonus. That is a total of +7 if you do everything right. And this is just light armor. If we go into the medium armors, the armored coat allows a dex bonus of 3 and gives you 4. So that's a +7. If we come down here to the lamellar steel, that allows a dex bonus of 3 and gives you +6 armor. That's a +9. And the heavy armors, oof. Banded mail is a +7 AC and +1 dex bonus, so that's a +8. And if we come down here to the full plate, that is a +9 armor bonus, and it still allows you 1 dex. That's +10. They have nerfed armor into the dirt. It's not even funny. They have absolutely annihilated the entire idea of armor. I mean, yes, wear armor, of course, but what's the point of picking anything different? I don't like it. And I'm not about to rewrite their entire armor system, but holy hell, I don't like it. Can we do better with a shield? Now, my character, my fighter that I made, absolutely can use shields. However, probably not going to use a full-size shield, probably going to use a buckler. The buckler has light bulk. It provides you with 1 AC. It has a hardness of 3 and only 6 HP. However, there is nothing saying that my character could not use a larger shield. A buckler makes sense for a fencer, but I didn't take any one-handed feats. So what else do we have access to? Well, we probably don't want anything like a tower shield or a fortress shield because those will slow us down. But what about just a regular shield? Let's see, there's a buckler, wooden shield, that gives you more armor class, caster's targe, hide shield, steel shield. Now that's something we could do, just a regular steel shield. It provides you with 2 more armor class if you use it, and I have the ability to use it as a reaction. It has a hardness of 5, which means that if I use shield block, it's going to negate 5 points of damage and then 20 hit points that they have to get through in order to break my shield. Sundering is not really a thing anymore, I don't believe. I could be wrong. I haven't looked yet, but I haven't seen it. But still, that's only a +2. If we were to go back and look at the way shields used to be, actually it hasn't really changed that much. +1, +1, +1, +1, +2, +2. Tower shields gave a +4. So, okay, that one really hasn't changed that much. I'll forgive that one. Alright, so in that case, we'll take a steel shield. We'll take a steel shield. Let me scroll down here. We got our leather armor there. Steel shield. So that's going to be a +2 AC when we use it. And we have to make sure that we use it, but like I said, we have a reaction for that. Now the question is then, what can we do with these 2 things to make them better? So let's go back to runes, because one of the first things that we saw was accessory runes, armor runes. Here we go. Armor property runes. And that's about it. Armor property runes. Alright. Then let's look at armor runes and see what we can get. Where's the top of the armor property runes? There we go. Ethereal, Sinister Knight, Rock Brace, Soaring Deathless, Dread, Bitter, Stanching, Implacable, Energy Absorbing, Advancing. Actually, I'm gonna sort this by level and look for like the earliest armor accessory the earliest armor rune we can find. Okay, accessory runes, weapon runes. Wait a minute, what if I just do this? Armor. Oh wait, there's subcategories. Armor property runes. Here we go. That makes life easier. Alright, so this is just armor runes then. So the earliest one that we get is at level 5. It is Slick. It makes your armor slippery as if it were coated with a thin film of oil. You get a +1 to acrobatics to escape and squeeze. Shadow gives it a hazy black appearance, gives you a bonus to stealth. Assisting It provides support to your joints or advanced prostheses for missing limbs. Well, that is cool. Holding your body in place and easing physical symptoms. This replicates the benefits of any number of splint supports and prostheses. When you invest the armor, you determine how many such supports you want and where on your body they assist you. It's magical power armor. That is cool. Okay, stanching. These close bloody wounds. Armor with this rune reduces the DC of flat checks to end persistent bleed damage from 15 to 12. 7 with particularly effective assistance. Raiment. This armor can be disguised with a mere thought. Color-changing armor. Ready armor. This rune draws component pieces of suit or armor towards one another, making it extremely fast to get into. You can don light armor with a ready rune as a single action, or medium and heavy with a ready action as a 2-action activity. Swallow Spike, aim aiding, dread, quenching, deathless, size changing, energy resistant, gliding, slick, invisibility. There are a lot of different armor things here, but you know what I'm not noticing? Nothing here actually seems to increase your armor value. And that's what's kind of getting to me. Implacable. This substantial rune makes you difficult to hold back whenever you're affected by an effect that lasts until you escape. For example, a grapple or a entangled, you become quickened. Immovable fortification. Fortification rune wards against the deadliest attacks. Each time you're critically hit while wearing etched armor, attempt a DC 17 flat check. On a success, it becomes a normal hit. This property thickens the armor, increasing its bulk by 1, and its strength modifier required to reduce its penalties by 1. So, great. It's more protection against critical effects, but nothing here is actually making the armor better. It's not increasing your AC. It's not to say that they're not useful, but it's not doing anything for you. So, let's look at shield runes. Can we make a better shield? Wow, we don't exactly have a whole lot of options here. Reinforcing. What does it do? A reinforcing rune makes a shield significantly more durable, allowing it to effectively block more powerful attacks. The minor rune increases its hardness by 3, it gains an additional 44 hit points, and its broken threshold increases by 22, to a maximum of 8 and 64. And if we get better ones, then that simply goes up. So for my character, the highest I could really get would be the moderate, which still increases it by 3, gives it an additional 64 hit points, and the broken threshold increases by 32, to a maximum of 13 hardness, 104 hit points, and 52 broken threshold, which, you know, is good. It allows you to use your shield block a lot more often. It does not increase your armor class, however, shield block is already absorbing the damage for you, which is kind of what armor class is already doing. Because let's remember your armor class, it's a 10, which is just a coin toss of are you hit or are you not. Then, it's your dexterity bonus. Would you be hit and can you dodge? Then, it's your proficiency, which I don't even know how to explain that. And then, if all of those fail, you are now... Or then we get to your armor. Excuse me. We get to your armor. So if they hit that sweet spot where you've been hit, but you're still below your target AC, that means that you were hit, but it failed to penetrate your armor. So this is not actually increasing our armor class, but functionally, mechanically, it's doing the same thing. So I can't really complain about this one. This is good. I like this. It still doesn't excuse the whole, or why there's no armor runes that simply make your armor better. Unless this was armor okay, that was armor property runes. Hold on. Let me look at fundamental armor runes. Tell me there's something in here. Okay, hold on. I think this might be it. Potency? Tell me this is it. Yes, this is it. Magical Wars Reflect attacks increase the armor's AC bonus by 1. Thank you. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. So, there are 3 potency runes at level 5, 11, and 18. So, this level 12 character could get an armor potency plus 2. It increases its AC by 2, and they can have 2 property runes. So, let's do that. So, potency 2, which will increase this to a plus 3 AC. Is it a lot? No. No, it is not. And stop doing that. I mean, what is even this acrid int? I don't know. I thought it's like you to number, or to text. Did I? Did I not? Yes, you are set to text. Stop putting functions in there. There. Plus 3 armor class with a potency 2 rune. And then it says that we get to have 2 property runes. So if we come over to the property runes, we can look at anything up to level 12. Fortification. That's the one that reduces critical attacks. So that's probably good. Must be etched onto medium or heavy armor, though. And so, leather armor, not gonna work. As far as recipes go, you know what? It doesn't terribly matter which ones we pick. Because this is just it's not really germane to what we're doing. However, looking at the shield runes, going back to those, we can have moderate. And so I didn't look to see what a steel shield was, but that's not going to change. However, steel shield, where was it? There it is. So the steel shield has a hardness of 5. It has HP of 20. And it's broken at 10. If we go back to the rune, that will increase it by 3. And hold on, do these have to stack? I don't think they do. I think we take the rune as it is. So, yeah. It increases the hardness by 3, so it's going to become hard 8. The HP is going to go up by 64 hit points. So 64 plus 20 is 84. And then the broken goes up by 32. And that's going to make that 42. Yeah. And JP says, Steel Shield. Is that a rogue ability? Technically, that would be a disarm. And technically, anybody can do that if you want to make the rogue feel foolish. So there we go. There's a Steel Shield with the potency rune on it. Again, this is not strictly armor class. It does give a +2 AC. Which means that if we were to take the armor class of the armor and raise our shield, that is another +5. So if we come over here and look at the light armor, we could push this up to a 25. Unfortunately, that's about the best we can do. And again, when I add in things like magic from the wizard, I'm pretty sure the wizard can match that. I feel like this could be done better. I mean, the fighter is supposed to really rely on their equipment, and the equipment just doesn't seem to matter. And JP says, LOL, does the potency rune grant the shield bash? Actually, I don't think it does, because I think that shield bash is available to literally anybody who holds a shield. Let's see. Can I find it in here? Specific magic shields. No, I don't want that. Where would I find that? Would that be in Game Mastery? No, rules? The GM screen, conditions, actions and activities. Hold on. Okay. Raise a shield. Position your shield to protect yourself. When you have a raised shield, you gain its list of circumstance to AC. That's it. Wait, does nobody get shield bash? Wait, here we go. Shield bash. Let's look at this. Alright, shield bash. A shield bash is not actually a weapon, but a maneuver in which you thrust or swing your shield to hit your opponent with an impromptu attack. Right, so I believe this is under... Yeah, this is under weapons. Kind of like they have a weapon category for unarmed attacks. Shield bash is in here. Yeah, so like right here, you see the very first thing is a fist. Unarmed attack. It's a melee attack. You are unarmed. It's part of brawling. You do 1d4 bludgeoning damage. There you go. And if I were to look through here a little bit... I'm sure it's in here somewhere. I could probably find it, but I'm not going to look for it right now. The important part is that shield bash is in here. If you have a shield equipped, you can bash somebody with it for 1d4 damage. And it does not care who you are. It does not care what class you are. So long as you have a shield, you can smack somebody with it. That's all that matters. Critical specialization effects. So, again, looking at the fighter specifically, I took Fighter Weapon Mastery Flails. However, it says right here that it's in the group called Shield. If I were to take Shield, and if I were to bash somebody with the Shield with the critical specialization effect, if I were to crit with them, and keep in mind that you crit if you roll a 20, or if you exceed the DC you're trying to hit by 10 or more, you can also knock the target back 5 feet. Which isn't much, but it's better than nothing. So there is that. Overall, though, if I look back at the wizard that I made, I also have the shield ability. And what was the bonus I got on that? Let's look at spells, arcane spells, and I have... This is a cantrip. You raise a shield of magical force. This counts as using the raise a shield action, giving you a +1 circumstance bonus to AC until the beginning of the next turn. So basically, if we were to look at the actual shields, the wizard's raise a shield cantrip is the equivalent of a buckler, the caster's targe, the claw, basically anything smaller than a shield, or a full-size shield. And JP says, a halfling will bash your shins. It could be comically effective. Actually, it really could be. At least once. Yeah, because if you bash their shins, they're probably just going to kick you. How far can the halfling fly? Speaking of, I did not take mage armor, but let me go ahead and look that up. Because it is worth comparing. Mind you, if you take a feat, your wizard can wear armor. Which means that my wizard, who has a 4 in dexterity, could wear the same armor that the fighter is and get the same bonus. Slap on some other armor, and congratulations, there you go. And the penalty, I take a -1 to my athletics and acrobatics checks, which are not even trained, and I shouldn't even be using them. Since there's no caster penalty for wearing armor, why wouldn't you? Now, mage armor, wherever it is down here, does not work if you are wearing armor. So let's see if that's even worth it. Armor. Where would it be? We do a search. Conduct weapon, here we go. Befitting attire, clad in metal, dismantle, instant armor. No, I don't want that. No. Where is mage armor? Oh, wait, I'm looking at the wrong one. I look at the second rank. Rank 1. Mystic armor. Here we go. This is mage armor. You ward yourself with shimmering magical energy, gaining a +1 item bonus to AC with a maximum dexterity modifier of 5. While wearing mystic armor, you use your unarmored proficiency to calculate your AC. And JP says, wizard plus armor equals thinking really, really hard before casting lightning. No, you don't, because you are automatically shielded from your own spells. Unless it's an AoE. And lightning is not an AoE, which means you could wear full plate and still cast lightning and you would be just fine. Now, you want to see how crazy this gets. Why, then, do wizards not wear armor? Well, if you were to wear full plate armor back in Pathfinder 1, here it is. Not only do you take a -6 armor check penalty to everything you do, but it comes with a 35% arcane spell failure chance. What does that mean? That means that when you cast a spell, you come over here and you roll a d100. And if it is less than 35, which it is, your spell automatically fails because you can't make the gestures. But that doesn't exist in 2nd edition, so again, why not? Now, I prize my dexterity, and wizards do not come with proficiency in heavy armor automatically. But you could get it with a feat. It's not hard. So Mystic Armor here is going to give you a +1 to AC and a maximum dex of 5. So you could have a maximum of +6. Plus, you know, because using your unarmed modifier, your level, to your armor. Which means that my character, if I were to cast this, would just get a +1, and my armor class is currently 20, so I would go up to 21 by casting Mystic Armor, which I didn't take, but it's okay. The fighter with the leather armor, with the potency runes, and with a shield up, has an armor class of 25. Why? Why does armor not matter anymore? Why do so many things not matter anymore? I don't know why they made these choices. JP says, so a wizard in full armor casting magic missile, does it cast like normal or bounce around inside the suit? Well, I assume it's coming from your hands, so probably not bouncing around inside the suit. Also, it's a force effect, so it dissipates on contact. So it doesn't bounce. Which seems like a missed opportunity. They should make a bouncing magic missile. I'd allow that. Ricochet missile. Magic ricochet? I don't know. It's called Force Barrage anyway. Because they had to change the name. Because they had to be unique and special. It's like naming your child Eritrea. Why? Because I don't want my child to have a common name like Bob. Right. So now everyone is going to think that your child is a time traveler from Troy. So anyway, getting back to the characters, I will say this. My entire goal today was to build a fighter and see if the fighter could stand side by side, or rather, at least right in front of a wizard. And I do think that I have answered that. And unfortunately, the reason why I think it actually works is because there's not a fundamental difference between them. Does the damage work? Yes, it does. A wizard is capable of using ignition to deal 15, maybe more damage per turn. A fighter, if they can strike both times in one turn, can easily, or can actually rather vastly outmatch that. And if they had an appropriate weapon, which, by the way, this Greater Striking Whip, this doesn't include any potency runes. This is just Greater Striking. Although Greater Striking doesn't give or offer any potency runes, so actually no, maybe that's appropriate. It is possible for them to exceed the damage, so I'm okay with that. And as far as like staying power, endurance, I do think that they are equal enough, but it's not because necessarily the wizard got so much better, although they did. It's because armor doesn't matter anymore. Sure, you can get the potency runes on your armor, but the bonuses are so small. The most that I can think of is to look at armor. Where was it? It was up here somewhere. Armor, here we go. Actually, no, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Because even if you were to come down here and get a set of full plate and put potency 3 runes on it, congratulations, it's now +9 AC with absolutely no dexterity bonus. Which means that your armor class is going to be your proficiency plus your armor bonus plus 10, and that's it. Which means that I can actually calculate literally everyone's armor class. It's going to be a base of 19. Okay? If you're level 1, okay, I guess that would make it a base of 20 because you get the +1. So, if you could get this at level 1, you would have a base armor class of 20, which would be crazy at level 1, don't get me wrong. At level 20, however, it would be 20 plus 9 plus 10, 39. And that is, realistically speaking, excepting like magical items that will give you just random boost to your AC, like a ring of protection. That's your maximum. And I kind of feel sad knowing what the ceiling is, because there shouldn't be a ceiling. There should be more flexibility to do like whatever you want to do and to build absolutely outrageous things if you so choose. And I kind of feel like there just isn't. So, with that being done, I'm going to make a list of things that I still need to research rules-wise, because, like, for example, the death and dying rules, I don't know them. I could look them up real quick. Dying. And I asked this because if we look at the sheet up here at the top, under our vital statistics, we have our maximum and current hit points, non-lethal damage, temporary hit points, and then we have dying, and wounded. And I have no idea what those are. What are they? How do they work? Well, it says here, dying, you are bleeding out and otherwise at death's door. While you have this condition, you are unconscious. Dying always includes a value. If it ever reaches dying 4, you die. While you are dying, you must attempt a recovery check at the start of each turn to determine whether you are better or worse. What is a recovery check? It is a flat check with a DC of 10 equal to your current dying value to see if you are better or worse. If you succeed, it goes down by 1. Critical success, it's reduced by 2. And the opposite is true when you fail. However, a flat check of 10 plus your current dying value? A flat check of what? Flat check. The chance something will happen or fail to happen is based purely on chance. When you attempt a flat check, it includes, or never includes, any modifiers, bonuses, or penalties. It is just a d20 and compare the result. Okay, so yeah. So you're just rolling a d20 with a DC of 11, 12, or 13. Okay. So if you are ever reduced to 0 hit points, you just start making flat checks and see whether you live or die. Alright, that's fine. I get that. How about wounded? What does that mean? Wounded. You've been seriously injured. Anytime you lose the dying condition, you become wounded 1 if you didn't already have the wounded condition. If you already had the wounded condition, your value increases by 1. If you gain the dying condition while wounded, increase the dying condition's value by your wounded value. The wounded condition ends if somebody successfully restores hit points to you with treat wounds, or if you are restored to full hit points and rest for 10 minutes. Okay, well, that was easy. New death mechanics. It's fine. It's not the same as it used to be. Pathfinder 1's death mechanics, I think, were better because they rewarded investment. In Pathfinder 1, you were dead, or you had to make a check every turn to try and get back up. And every turn you would lose 1 hit point. If your hit points were reduced to a negative value equal to your constitution, then you died. Which I thought was better because it rewarded high constitution characters and punished low constitution characters. This, again, like so many other things, has just flattened it. It's just flattened it. Why do you care then about increasing your constitution? Better fortitude save, sure. More hit points, sure. But when it comes to dying, I hope that maybe there are some feats in here that change how dying and wounded work, but I don't know. I just don't know. Things that I will look at next time, things that I'll research, I'll make a list, and we come back next time, we will look at rules in general. Because we've got a pretty good handle on how things work now that we've made 2 characters. Now it's time to look at some of the minutiae around them. So, if you want to see that, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon, that way you get notified every time these videos come out. If you know somebody else who's also into tabletop gaming, specifically Pathfinder and Starfinder 2nd Edition, then share this video with them. Otherwise, if you like me, you like what I'm doing, leave a like on the video. You can leave a comment down below, but if you're going to do that, might I suggest you just join our Discord? We have one, it's there, and we'd love to have you. We'd love to have you play games with us. So, we have a Star Trek game going currently, which just went off the rails again. I thought it was going to be ending relatively soon, but I don't think it's ending relatively soon anymore. We'll have to wait and see where that one goes. I still have a Gene Stealer game I'm trying to put together, and I still have many more modules to try, so if you want to play, come to the Behind the Screen channel, let me know what you want to do and what your availability is, and as soon as I can get a group of 4 people together, I currently have 3 for the Gene Stealers. I need 1 more person. As soon as I get 4 people together, we will start playing. So, please come and join us there. Please come back here to the stream next week, and until then, take care.